What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And dude, totally stoked for today's conversation, man, because as I just got done telling this man, this legend, that my formative teen years as a metalhead, he supplied the beats that played a big role in it. So I present Charlie Benante from Anthrax, man. What's going on, man?
Hey man, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good, man. I gotta admit, I had butterflies all day because I've just been stoked about talking with you and just 40 years, man. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
yeah. Usually when I have somebody on for the first time, I like to get like a little bit of a background though. So like originally, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Originally, I wanted to grow up. I still haven't achieved that yet. Uh, um, but for me, like ever since I was a little kid, my future was pretty much already planned. This is all I ever wanted to do is just make music and create art. So, from when I was a little kid to now, I still have that passion for both of those things.
That's great, man. And like what do you think like drove you to keep to stay focused at such a young age on pursuing like art and music? Like how old were you? Like, do you remember when you first like heard music? You were like, wow, this is something I want to do.
Music was always played in the house because I come from a pretty big family. I was the youngest of five children, and I had four older sisters. And we were very close with my cousins who were three boys. So I was always, listening, watching everything that they did and just absorbing it all. And that's how it was. It's like I said, music was played all the time in my house. My mom would play her opera records like Madame Butterfly and I always remember those records being played on like Saturdays and Sundays. And I don't know. It's just like I said, music was always in the house.
And then like what attracted you to drums?
I came out. I was born and I was drumming. I nothing ever. I never had that experience of I want to do that. It was just already in me. I came out doing it, and it's like I forget who said it, but like they don't believe in religion or they don't believe in God, but they do believe in God-given talents, and people just come out with that. So I think, like I said, it was all predestined.
Nice. And then as you got older, like when did you like start getting serious about like playing and like were you in any other bands in high school prior to Anthrax? And
I was in like when I was going to like for drum lessons when I was like five, six, seven. Those are the years where I started to take drum lessons. And the school would put all the students in bands, and they would do a recital. And the band that I got put in was with like older teenagers because I could play. And we would play like Venture songs, and of course, Wipeout was one of them. And just kind of, I felt like I played surf music, and here I am from the Bronx.
nice. And then so I mean then as you got older, you started playing out more. Like when was it that you guys got together with Anthrax and you knew you wanted to be, like take it to the next level?
So I was in a couple of bands when I was like 15, 16, 17, and I was playing bars in this area in the Bronx called City Island. There was like, little clubs like bars and stuff like that. And I would play shows with this one band that I was in, and Then it came time when I wanted to focus more on art and everything like that. So I had this discussion with my mom, and she was going to send me to this art school. Right around that time, a good friend of mine knew of some people in Queens. I was in the Bronx. Right over the bridge, right over the Throgs Neck Bridge was Queens, and they happened to live right on the opposite side of the bridge. And one of those guys happened to be Scott, and I had seen Scott and a couple of those guys at shows. We all liked the same music, so if like Judas Priest would play, you would see those people there. If Kiss played, you would see those people there. It was that type of thing. So word got out that they heard about me and their drummer was leaving, and they wanted to know if I would want to come down and audition. And I said, yeah, let's do it. But I didn't go there. They came to me. So they came to my house and we played a bunch of songs and we were all super stoked. And then later that night, Scott called me and was like, you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Only problem is I had to leave school. Like it was one of those things where I said, all right, this is what I've been dreaming of doing, being in a band, making music, that's that type of stuff. And then that was it. Um, we would rehearse 5, 6 nights a week. We were just nonstop. We were so focused and we believed so much in what we were doing and that we just had something to prove, you know? So we rehearsed a hell of a lot. And then it came time that we were going to put out a single. And we worked with Ross the Boss, who was in this band called Manowar. And Ross really helped us out a lot and helped us to get a deal. And then it just started to go right after that.
Sweet. And then so, here we are like celebrating 40 years now after that beginning. And I mean, what does it mean to you personally to reach such a milestone?
I haven't really processed it all. All I know is we're doing stuff for the 40th anniversary, but I don't really consider myself being in the band that long because it just doesn't feel that way. Uh, but when I have to look back at it, then of course I have to come to the realization that wow, we've been doing this for a hell of a long time. So that's when it hits me that it's been a long time doing this, but a lot of times you're just having fun doing it, and I think that's the part that keeps you young and not thinking about the years, you know? So for me, 40 years, okay, I can do it.
And then, so you got the big live stream concert coming up.
Yeah.
What can fans expect after 40 years of
Well,
one?
we've been practicing a lot, and we wanted to play some songs that we haven't played in a long time, and just really focus on the history of the band. I'm talking anything from the first album to, of course, our last album. So I'm kind of looking forward to it, you know, just like I said, we've been busting our asses. We're just working at it. And then we're going to play our first show Thursday in Wisconsin. It's a big festival. And the next day, bam, we do that. So it's exciting.
Nice. And then, I mean, what are some of the things that like still blows your mind, I mean, after playing a part of, or that you've experienced, for during these 40 years?
We've been doing the series of like these little mini documentaries, and some of the people, some of the guests that are on it talking about us in such a great way. It kind of makes me emotional sometimes to be like, wow, you're telling us that we did something that you like, wow, that's completely blows my fucking head, the other day we put out one and Keanu Reeves is in it, and Keanu Reeves is such an awesome dude. He's just like, and I mean to say dude, but like the way, like a Bill and Ted type of thing, but that That guy is just such a genuine human being, and like he's been to a bunch of shows, and one of the shows that I almost stopped playing because I was like, oh my God, Keanu is in the pit with a suit on, and he was just going crazy, and it just made
John
me
Wick
so
hit the pit.
happy. Yeah, yeah, don't fuck with John Wick in the pit. So that's the type of person that he is. He's in the moment.
That's awesome. Like, so going back, like, what are some personal goals that you had for yourself during these 40 years that you were able to attain?
Okay, so earlier I spoke about music and art, and those are the two things that I did well, and I knew how to do that. So I said that what I wanted to achieve a really good level of, like as far as music goes, I want to get signed to a record label. I want to make records. I want people to listen to our records. I want people to understand what we're doing as far as when it comes to, making music and the whole genre, because sometimes heavy metal bands, people would look at us as like, yeah, it's not, back in the day, I mean, look at us as like, oh, it's heavy metal, it's not like real. And then there came a time when it became real because it was dominating, the music scene globally. Once that happened, I feel like we were definitely respected more. Um, and the other thing I wanted to do with my art is combine the ideas that I had in my head with the music. So it gave me a chance to work with the record company art departments and come up with album covers and make the sleeves, and every piece of production I was involved in. And that's the one thing that I'm most proud of, is creating music and creating art and doing both of them, well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm old school, so I'm one of those people that still liked getting the CDs or the album, have the physical copy, not just to listen to the music and enjoy the music, but also like looking at the artwork, reading the liner notes,
It's
I mean,
important. It's so
yeah, it's huge.
important to me because the days of me sitting in my room and listening to whatever band it was, but just looking at the cover, turning it over, reading everything about it, taking out the sleeve. And if you're lucky enough, the band had enough money to put, a nice sleeve together. And it was important. And then sometimes they'd have a gatefold, and sometimes they opened up into three. I remember back when I was at my cousin's house back in the day, he had a live album from Yes, and this thing opened into three panels, and I was just like, "What the hell is this?" And I just miss those days, and I think a lot of our fans and a lot of hard rock metal fans really want that too. They don't want to just stream something. They want to sit back, read something. Let's read along with the lyrics and maybe get a better understanding of the song. And you can't do that nowadays, because it's always this big. How the hell am I supposed to, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I've always been like a big lyric fan too. It's like, it's like reading a story. It takes you on a journey. You got the theme music playing in the background. You're reading along with it. And I mean, kind of like reading a comic book or graphic novel, which you guys have just recently done as well.
Good segue. Yes, we have. We released the graphic novel. Z2 Comics, they put it out, and it came out amazing. I mean, everything about it, man, from the cover to the back cover, it's everything that I wanted, and the best part about it is myself and the rest of the band got to contribute to this, and I was so happy to do a piece of art for it. That was one of the things. That was another thing I always want to do is, create a comic book.
Yeah, I mean, I see your Joker in the background there, and I know you're a big comic book fan as well. man, I have like you said, I have boxes still of CDs and albums and stuff, and I have boxes of comic books and graphic novels. I mean, that was just my childhood, man. And I feel like these kids are missing out so much today.
I think we have to look at it as though it's like their generation. So what is it that they have maybe 20 years from now, you know, the things that they use would be completely obsolete and be on to something else. And they'll be like, oh man, when I was your age, we used to stare at YouTube. We used to go on Snapchat all the time, you know? So I think the thing that we love, like I was so happy when vinyl got a resurgence.
Yes.
Because I always loved, you know, vinyl. Like, and I always talk about this, the smell when you open it up, and it's just, man, you just don't get that experience anymore, you know? So I kind of feel bad for some kids too.
Yeah,
It'll be something else.
yeah. Like I said, man, I mean, I got a comic book collection. I go through and it'd be like, you know, some of these are worth a lot of money. It's like people with baseball cards, and you put them in a case and protect them and stuff. But I needed to open it up and read, man. I needed to go on that adventure, you know, even if it cost me a little bit. And that was like the same thing with the albums. But a little bit more on your graphic novel. Like, how did that come to be? Whose idea was that? And
I mean, for years now, I've been trying to put a comic book together that told the story of our last 3 album covers. And every time I really get motivated to do it, something else happened that just sidetracked me, and I had to do something else. During COVID, like pretty much in the beginning of it, I don't know if Josh Bernstein from Z2 Comics maybe read one of the interviews I did or heard something, but he approached us to do the Among the Living album as a graphic novel, not necessarily take each song and the lyrics for the song, but take the title for each of the songs and have someone else write a completely new story of it. That was intriguing. I love that idea. I'm like, that could be really great. So we put a list together of some of the people that we would love to get to contribute to this. And lo and behold, they all agreed to do it. And we were just like, this is going to be awesome. So, I mean, you have Rob Zombie, you have Corey Taylor, you have Gerard and Mikey Way from My Chemical Romance, you have Joe Troman from Fall Out Boy, you have Brian Posehn, and all these amazing artists also contributing to this. Now, on the song "I Am the Law," Scott took the lyrics. I mean, Scott wrote the story for it, and I did the cover for it, the artwork. And I think Frankie wrote a story, and Joey contributed too. So, like I said, it was such a complete, like, band effort, plus all of our friends who also just did so much for it too. So it came out amazing.
Yeah, I got to check out some of it, man. It's great. I'm definitely going to order the hard copy and everything, because add that to my collection.
You have to.
Yeah, for sure. And like, speaking of that, like, I mean, who's like the biggest comic book fan in the band, would you say?
I would say Scott is the biggest comic book fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, what are you, a Marvel or DC guy?
Well, I'm more Marvel, but there's still my love of some of that DC stuff too, you know?
Yeah, I seen that with the Joker in the background. So
yeah, Batman, you know. I don't know, man. It's a tough one, but of course, Marvel dominates everything now.
Oh yeah, they killed it with the movies for sure, I thought.
Yeah, I think they're killing it too much. I think they should ease up on it. Every month there's another movie coming out.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then, like, who's some of your? I mean, you've big into art and everything too. Like, do you have any like favorite comic book artists that you like to collect their stuff and follow?
I like Bernie Wrightson. I always loved his stuff. I mean, going back to the older days of like the Jack Kirby's and stuff like that. Um, you know, a lot of those guys that came later on, I thought were really doing something special. Um, uh, but for the most part, I always go back to, like I said, Bernie Wrightson, Brian Boland, a lot of those the Jim Lees and those people who just, I don't know, they drew the character in a certain way that it just totally attracted my eye. You know, it got my eye there. So those are still some of the guys that I think paved the way. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to go backtrack a little bit to your 40-year career now. Um, in the music business, I hear that you make a lot of acquaintances, but who are some like real like friends that you've made that have lasted through the years?
Um, you know, Chris Jericho is a good friend of mine. Um, just a lot of bands that Alex Skolnick is a good friend of mine from Testament. Uh, Throughout this whole COVID thing, a lot of my friends became closer, like him, Ra from Suicidal, D from Run DMC, of course, my band and ex members of our band. I'm still very close with, John Tempesta from the Cult. I mean, I still consider these people just very, very, very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, and speaking of like, I mean, during the COVID lockdown and stuff, I mean, you like many of us were like just dealing with cabin fever and just battling with the all the uncertainty that was going on in the world. But you decided to focus on your creativity, and the album Silver Linings was born with some of the artists you just mentioned. You want to talk more about that?
Well, the Silver Linings record, which came out May 14th, was never intended on being put out on any CD, vinyl, or anything. It was just basically something that snowballed through the COVID pandemic. When I asked a couple of my friends to help make some songs, and we were just being creative. And like I said, it just snowballed into something else. And I'm so happy that that happened because it took me out of my depression during the COVID crisis. And I'm very grateful to all those people who played on it. I'm very grateful for all those people who watched it, listened to it, and now have purchased it. And a portion of the sales um, goes goes to put instruments in kids' hands, which I was very, very, I'm very sad when I always hear about in schools, the first thing that get cut from the budgets is always the music and the art programs. Um, and for me, when I was a young kid, if those things got cut when I was in school, I don't know if, I would be doing what I'm doing right now because that really helped me uh, in school because it gave me something to focus on other than the daily curriculum.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I mean, you brought up a good point. Like, I mean, getting together. I mean, you know, you're dealing with depression, and this creativity became like a therapy for you guys. And I can relate, man. I struggle with anxiety and PTSD, and just even before lockdowns and stuff like that. And I started doing this podcast as a way to get me out of my comfort zone to start communicating with people more and as a form of therapy for myself. So it had to be a blessing to have all those people to call in and have like basically group therapy sessions creating.
Well, because the thing was, I felt in lack of a better word, I mean, we're entertainers, and we write music, we play music, we do all this stuff, but more so or less, we're also out there entertaining. And when people come and see you, they want a night away from all the bullshit, you know? They want to come and just hear metal. They want to move. They want to have a drink or two. They want to take their lady. They want to take their son. They want to take whoever, and they just want to forget about everything else and just enjoy it. And for me, making these videos, I know that's what a lot of people would write me. Thank you for doing this. It takes a dark day and it makes it a bit brighter. So I totally understood what they meant by that, because it was helping me.
Yeah, no, I get that completely. And like, if you were to take those songs and that project and took it on the road, is there one particular one that you would really love to play before a live audience?
We talked about this too. Me and the guys who were on all the Rush songs. We want to go out and do a show of just the Rush stuff. So I could see that happening.
Sweet. Yeah, I thought you guys nailed it, man.
Oh, thank you. One of my favorites.
And yeah. And so I know we're short on time. I wanted to ask you a few of the questions that I normally ask guests when I have them on.
Sure.
Is there a particular song that you feel has inspired you in life that you can always go back to when you're going through a downtime or a rough time that picks you up?
There's a song by the Beatles called "Getting Better." And of course, it's getting better all the time, And it's funny how Paul says, it's getting better all the time, and then John's line is, "It couldn't get much worse." So that's something to always think about. It's getting better, Today is just a moment. Tomorrow will be different.
Yeah, and you'd mentioned the arts and the music programs in schools. Is there like a particular class that you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
Oh yes, art. I don't even care if you don't know how to draw or use a paintbrush. Just express yourself in that way, because there's a lot of artists out there. When I look at their art, I'm like, really, but it's from them. It's how they express themselves. So you don't have to be an amazing artist. It's just what you see and how you put it on canvas or a piece of paper. That to me is the most important thing.
Gotcha. And then out of the 40 years, this might be a hard one, but out of all those years of being on the road, is there a particular band that you've had the most fun with on the road?
Wow. There's been quite a few bands that I've had a lot of fun with, so it's hard to pinpoint that one. The last couple of tours that we've been doing, we're on this whole package with us, Slayer, Lamb of God were on it, and I had a good time on those. They were during the summer months, and I must say, it was like being away at camp, but metal.
Nice, metal camp.
camp.
And then who's 3 people who have inspired you or you can credit for making you the person you are today?
My mom, the Beatles, and I would probably say, man, this is a tough one. It's a cross between either Disney or like, it's not one person in the horror genre that I could pick. So that's a hard question, but I would say like either a Disney or a horror, someone in that genre.
Gotcha. And then you'd mentioned the with the Silver Linings album that the portion of the proceeds were going to That
Neil Casal. He's the one guy that takes instruments and puts it in kids' hands. So that's the one thing that was pretty important to me. And
so.
okay, I'm getting another call.
All right. One last thing then, and then we'll get ready and wrap up. Any message that you have for our military members currently serving overseas?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I have to say this. There's been many situations where we'll play somewhere that's close to a military base, and we'll get a lot of soldiers coming down. And we always take the time to talk to them because what they're doing is way more important than what a lot of people do. And it's just I just always applaud them for their bravery and their dedication. And that's the truth. Bravery and dedication to this country. And don't forget it. That's what being a patriot is, not this other bullshit that people want to say. That's the real deal right there.
Yeah, I agree. Gotcha. Okay, so like real quick then before I let you go, I know we got the streaming concert coming up. We promoted that. But you mind cutting a promo ID for me before I let you go real quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just introduce yourself and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Oh, that's easy. Hey, everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for this time. It was an honor, man, to talk to you. And man, we could go on and on about comic books and all that stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to do a part 2 sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking the time. And next time, maybe we'll have more time to do this.
Sounds good, man. Take care.
All right, bro. Have a great night.
All right, you too. Bye.